Even if you're on medication for high cholesterol and you watch your diet, there is one risk factor that can sabotage all your efforts to control your cholesterol levels: stress. Here to tell us more about this important piece of your heart health is Dr. Stephen Kopecky, a preventative cardiologist at the Mayo Clinic. Welcome, Dr. Kopecky. So nice to have you with us. So tell us exactly how stress leads to cholesterol levels, including LDH cholesterol and triglycerides, rising.
Well, stress does a couple of things. First, it leads us to eat less well, eat more fattening foods, not be as active physically, exercise as much, and gain weight. But the other thing that stress does, even if you control your diet, control your activity, is that it's what's called the flight or fright phenomenon. Meaning when we get stressed, we put sugar into our bloodstream because it helps us run away from our enemies or whatever our attackers may be. That sugar then is converted into fat and deposited. It's in our bloodstream, it's deposited in our fat, deposited in our arteries. So it can lead to problems in a couple of ways.
So if we have chronic stress, we're constantly in that fight or flight mode.
Right, exactly. And that if you watch the evening news, if you have a family, if you have a job, if you have kids, I mean, all these things can lead to stress.
Right.
And what we find often is people say, well, you know, I like the stress, doctor, I live on it, I eat and breathe it. Say, well, you might, but it actually does cause problems with your arteries.
Okay, so remind us, what are the other factors that can lead to high cholesterol, which of course we must remind our viewers leads to heart disease?
Well, a lot of things can lead to high cholesterol. As you may be aware, recently the new nutrition guidelines said we don't need to worry so much about cholesterol in our diets. And that was kind of a double-edged sword in that what we do these days is we eat a very high saturated fat diet. It may not have cholesterol in it, but it leads to our cholesterol going up because of our diet. And even things like coconut oil, palm oil will raise our cholesterol levels. And so I have many patients now taking that, thinking it helps them reduce their wrinkles, their joints feel better or whatever. But the diet can clearly lead saturated fats in the diet, and it doesn't just have to be red meat or foods with cholesterol in it.
All right, so diet, of course, we shouldn't be smoking, but what about this stress? What advice do you give your patients who are experiencing chronic stress?
Well, first off is to realize you have it. You know, we all are exposed to stress, as I said. If you have a job, family, kids, you know, everybody doesn't have a happy Thanksgiving, you know, with in-laws and ex-marriages and things like that. It can be very difficult. And just understand that it does affect you. Number two is try to find ways to relax. Try to find a few minutes in the day, a couple of times a day that you can relax. Try to get up and move around. It's been shown that if you will move around for 30 seconds, every 30 minutes, it will reduce your levels of blood sugar in your bloodstream. It'll reduce your insulin levels, reduce your triglyceride levels. So that's important.
That's very.
And then finally, yeah, that's good. That's good advice. Mm-hmm. And then finally, you know, when we go to bed at night or wake up in the morning, it's been shown that's when we kind of first either ruminate at night when we're going to sleep, or we wake up and think, oh my God, what do I have to do today? So try to think of three things that are positive. Think of three things that you're thankful for, either when you go to bed at night, which is when I like to do it. Why did I have a good day? What three things? It could have been that your kid did good at a tennis match, or it could have been that you're happy with an interaction you had with a colleague that day. Just anything at all. Wow, this was good, and that reduces your levels of stress.
Very good advice on little ways we can cut into our stress daily. I like that so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Kopecky, for that.